Welcome to section 3. In this section we're going to continue creating our video, and I'm going to show you some really cool tricks that we can add into different projects to make them look really good. So for this video I'm going to show you how to create this transition here, as you will have to see, where it flops down like so, and it looks very nice, and you can add this onto other projects you create as well to give a really professional look and also to break up different scenes to transition. So we're transitioning from this introduction with these iPad slides, and we're going to go into another scene. So let's go and come over to scene 2, and now we're going to create some composition. So click on the composition, new composition, and we'll call this one flop, and make sure it's 1920 by 1080, and we'll have it about 30 seconds, and hit OK. And then what I'm going to do is duplicate that, Control D for duplicate, and I'll call flop 2, I'll name it panel 1, and hit OK. So now what I want to do is drop panel 1 down into flop, and actually open up panel 1 as well. And then what I want to do is create a background solid. So double click on the rectangle tool and create that solid. Make sure that it's the same color as this background, so go into scene 1 and get that background color and make sure it's the same. To do that you can just go to Final Movie, scene 1, background, and click on the fill button, and it will give you the color code. So just Control C, copy that, and then come to panel 1, click on the panel and go to fill, and you can just paste in that by Control V. That's exactly the same color, so it's not going to change, but that's how you do that. So once we've done that, just close panel 1 and come back into flop, and I'll just close scene 1 for now. Okay, so now I'm in flop, and what I want to do is actually add a mask to this one. So I can click on that, on the composition, make sure it's highlighted. Click on this, rectangle tool and double click on it. And what it's going to do, it's going to create a mask onto your image. If we just highlight that and double click, and you'll see it's created a mask with the white outlines. So now what we want to do is bring down these options. You can hit S on your keyboard if you want to make it shorter, and go down to scale, unlink this, and then this final part, hit 33.333 and hit enter. Okay, and I can bring those back up now. And what you want to do is just position that right at the top. So click and hold down shift so that it goes up nicely. And I'm just going to zoom in here, see if it's right on the line. Okay, it's looking quite good, and I'll just click and bring it up. You can use the arrows on your keyboard to make everything precise. And then what we need to do, as you can see, we've got this anchor point in the middle. We need to put this anchor point at the top of the composition, so right up there. Make sure it's right on the line, close to the line as you can. Okay, that's good, and you'll see why right now when I hit the this 3D button, and if it's not on there right now, you have to toggle through the switches and modes. Maybe it looks like this. Click on toggle switches modes, and then drop down this bit here. And as you'll see, when it comes to X rotation, if I click on this and drag it, you'll see that now the image is rotating around the anchor point there, so it's going to flop down. If it was in the middle, then it will just rotate in the middle, and it wouldn't look very good. So that's how we do that. So we've created our first panel. Now we need to create 2 more. So click on panel 1 and Control D, and highlight these ones, and we'll drop them in over here. And we need to make these 3D as well, and we need to make them again 33.333. So let's click S for scale, and we'll make them, I'll unlink those, and just in the middle one, actually we'll just make it like so for now. So in the middle one you'll see it, and hit 33.333, enter. And then what we want to do is get the anchor point, so click on panel and grab the anchor point and place it around the top. But first what we need to do is actually create the mask. So let's click on the layer and double click on this rectangle to create that mask. We should have done that at the beginning, but it doesn't matter too much. Okay, so now make sure that the anchor point's right on the line. There we are. It's pretty good, it's on the line, so maybe place it right in the middle just to make things nice. Okay, and last panel, we need to go and grab, actually we're going to place this panel at the bottom, this panel 3 for now, and grab panel 2 and place it in the middle. And what we want to do with this one, again, first click on the mask, so double click on that, make a mask, then hits S for scale, and then unlink that, and put 33.333, enter, then grab the anchor point from there and click on there in the middle and drag it up onto the line. Great. Okay, so now what we need to do is make these layers all 3D and make sure that they're all on the screen nicely. So the third one, I'm going to bring him right down to the bottom, make sure he's right on the bottom. So I can click and hold down shift, drag it to the bottom, and just have a look at that. That's perfect. And just make sure that the middle one's right in the middle. Looks good to me, and everything looks good. Cool, so the screens fill up. Now what we need to do is we need to link up these panels. So the second one needs to be linked to the first one. So get that tool there and click on there. Click on 3, get this tool here and drag it onto panel 2 so that the parent is like so. Okay, so that's probably the hardest work we've got to go through. Now what we can do is click on panel 2, and I've just brought up this bit here so that we can see it really precisely in the seconds. Bring it right down to the end so you can see all the frames, and we're going to click on here and drag it down to 5, and then for this one we're going to click and drag it down to 7. Okay, so if I bring them back up there like so and place it about there, you'll be able to see that's when they kind of drop in. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to use some expressions. So I'm going to drop down panel 1 first, and you can see we've got this X rotation. Now you'll be able to download the expressions on the side, so go and grab those and download those and you'll get this notepad. The first one you want to use is this flop expression, so click from this bracket down here and just drag up just this here and hit Control C or right click copy. Then what you're going to do is on X rotation, hit Alt on your keyboard and click, and then Control V, paste in that like so. Now you've got to do the same thing for all of them, so let's go back over to panel 2 as well, drop that down, and we're going to go, and I'm going to place it at the timeline indicator at the beginning of there, so at 5 frames. And again, Alt and click on X rotation and Control V. And let's go back over to the other one, so I'm going to place it up and go down to the 7th frame and X rotation. Hit Alt on your keyboard, then click on X rotation and then Control V. So now what you'll be able to see that it kind of flops in like so and it kind of settles into place. But it kind of doesn't, you can't really see the flop too well because the colors are exactly the same. So you can't really see the difference between the flop right now. So what we need to do is add in some exposure. That's an effect we're going to add in, and we're going to add another script that's within this file here. So this one here, transform X rotation by -1 and 30. So what we're going to do is come over to the effects and presets and let's type in exposure. Okay, and you'll see it says color correction exposure, and we're just going to drag and drop that onto each of these panels. Actually, I think we're only going to drop it onto panel 2 and 3. Let's take it off panel 1, so I'll delete that. Just place it on panel 2 and 3. Okay, great. And then what we're going to do on exposure, drop that down, and what we're going to do is come to panel 2 actually and drop that down, and under effects drop that down, and exposure drop it down, and master drop that down. Okay, so now you're going to see exposure. So what you want to do is come over here, copy this. Now I know this sounds like a lot of work and a lot of different things to follow, but it's actually quite easy. So hit Alt and then click on the exposure and then just Control V, and we're going to do the same thing as well with the panel 3. So just drop that one down, go to effects, drop that down, exposure, drop that down, master, drop that down, and on exposure, Alt and click and Control V. Now what you'll see is that the colors they change a bit. So let's have a look at this. So as you can see, the colors are kind of moving like this light shining on the background, so that it gives that effect, so it looks like it's more flopping more. So let's have a look at this again. So let's play it again. Looks quite good, doesn't it? So kind of, you can see that the light's kind of shining on that angle, and then it kind of flops into place. Cool. So that's how you create that effect. What we're going to do now is we're going to add that effect onto scene 2. So let's go to scene 2, and let's go to our project panel and grab flop, and we're going to drop that onto here, so that when we come to final movie, once it goes to there, what's going to happen, you'll see if I play it along, it's going to flop on top of there, and you'll be able to see we go into a new scene. So now grab all those panels and flops, and we'll just place them in compositions. So now we've got quite a nice looking video actually. So we've got an introduction, slides, and on these iPad screens you can add in whatever content you want. So you can just go into the screen and maybe add in a video or an image or some photos or whatever you like, but it's just a great way to introduce someone to your video. So what we can do now is actually finally just go into flop and just get a text tool, and let's click and write introducing. Control enter, and I'll place this in the middle, and I'll grab this up and make it a bit bigger. I'll use the text maybe just regular. Okay, looks good. And what I want to do is I want to parent this one, make it 3D first of all, and then parent it to panel 2. So let's have a look at that. Awesome. Cool, so once you've finished creating that flop, jump onto the next video and we'll continue creating this video.